Hello, everyone. My name is Matthew Allen, and welcome back to the What a Thought podcast. Releasing late because get, I got very distracted. Obviously, because it was Christmas. I had a very wonderful Christmas, a very happy Christmas. I hope you guys had good times celebrating. If you celebrate, if you don't, and if I properly, whatever you do celebrate, one, I apologize. There's a lot of different things. I know the one I celebrate is not the same as everyone else. So, for those that celebrate other things, I hope those celebrations went well and were festive and were times of family and joy and wonder and everything else that comes with the December season. I hope you guys had wonderful Christmases. If you celebrate Christmas, I had a wonderful Christmas. I got to come down to be with my family. That's why you might notice that the quality of my microphone has dipped because it is not my microphone. I think I'm either recording directly into the speaker of my laptop or the speaker of my headset. I'm not fully certain. It was a little hard to determine. Recording right now, I just know it's one of them. So if it's not the best, that's why. But I still, I got to deliver on the goods, the wonders, the I don't know where I was gonna go with that joke. Obviously, this came out late, uh, because I'm bad at keeping on top of things when there are holidays involved, especially because Christmas fell on a Sunday. That's normally my recording day. So I spent the whole day with family. Quite literally, I was with family from the moment I woke up to the moment I went back to sleep. So that was, I completely forgot about the fact that I needed to record this podcast, which is probably for the best. It meant that I had more time with the people that care about me and try to push me to succeed at things that I do. Uh, yeah, some cool things. I won't mention most of them. I'll mention two things of note that I thought were pretty cool. I got Scream 5. For those that don't know, I'm a big horror movie nerd. That's my big ish is I love horror. I love horror games. I love horror movies. So I got Scream 5, which is just titled Scream, which I think is stupid because the next one is called Scream 6. Uh, I hate that naming convention thing that we've done, where we've just gotten rid of the numbers. They make it so much harder to know what you're watching when you don't have that number. Uh, and I also got God of War Ragnarok. Now I've been trying very usher my way up and through the God of War franchise, and it's going slow, but it's so much fun and it's so cool. Shout out to my brother who bought me that because I opened up his gift from him and it was just soap, and then that was also in there, and I was like, oh snap! I was like, that's cool. I really was just gonna accept the soap. I was like, that's cool. I'm a college student, you know. Soap is such a good thing to give me. I'll take soap any day. But yeah, like I got those things. Those are the only things I'm gonna really mention. I got other things, obviously. You know, I love. I'm just not gonna tell you guys them because that's not what we're here for. I just wanted to quickly shout those two things out because they're very akin to the things I do, gaming and filmmaking. So you know, what else was I about to say? Speaking of horror, was going to be the transition. I got to watch. I know what a quick transition out of the Christmas mood into something very less Christmassy and in fact very off the holiday. But I got to watch My Bloody Valentine today. Uh, the original movie, not the remake, and I can see how some part of it could have one day had been a good movie. But I see the flaws, and I saw the flaws, and I'm like, yeah, this isn't that good of a film. For those that don't know, My Bloody Valentine it's a horror movie centered around a holiday, in this instance, Valentine's Day. Which is funny because it's the least, like, the idea of Valentine's Day does not really ring in the movie that much, like, at all. So I think it's kind of goofy. But like, it's present, like, it's really present at the get-go, but it from that point onwards, it's not nearly as present as one might think it would be. My screen just went dark. I forgot that's a setting that I need to, like, not let it do when I sit here and record for 30 minutes. But if you don't know, the whole premise is that 20 years ago in Valentine Bluff, there was a man who was a part of a mining crew into the mines, like they were doing their thing on Valentine's Day, and there was like a big like party and dance in the town, and the supervisors who were supposed to stay at their post in case something happens down in the mine so that they can alert people and the miners can be rescued were off partying, and it took like days for them to find the miners, and of the group there was only one guy left that I can't remember the name of because it's unimportant, even though it is very important. And he had like gone crazy. He had eaten the other miners so that he could stay alive. And they put him in like an institute, and he broke out the next year for Valentine's Day and went and killed the two supervisors that had been responsible for all of the deaths of those miners, right? And so then he was back in an institute, and it's, what would that be, 19 years later? 18 years later? 18 years later, right? Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I think. No, 19. I know how to count, I swear. 19 years later, they're having their first dance in 20 years. And, like, it's supposed to be a whole big deal. But their things keep popping up and telling, like, people are like, oh, you shouldn't host the dance. And by that I mean the killer, whoever it is, because they don't tell you who the killer is. Everyone just assumes it's the guy from 20 years ago because, like, that would make sense. Of course, this 30-year-old, like, miner is going to come back in his 50s and try to kill people. Duh. No. It does end up being someone else. But, like, they try to really sell you on the idea of it being this other character named TJ. But TJ is the main character. We follow him for the whole movie, okay? And the issue with him being the killer is that he's never alone. Like, he's never alone. He's always somewhere or with someone, and even though they keep trying to make him look like a loner that people don't like, and it's like a whole thing, like, sorry, I'm yawning because it's late at night because, I forgot to do this. He's the main character. He's the main dude. There's no world where he is the killer. But there is a very obvious secondary lead man who is 100% the killer. His name is Axel. And I'm just going to skip ahead to the end of the movie where you find out in just literal flashback form, like they didn't build up to this in any fashion, that Axel is the killer because the original dude who went and killed those two supervisors, Axel was the son of one of the supervisors, shocker, that dude had killed, and so had been traumatized ever since, and when the town finally decided to throw another Valentine's Day dance, he lost. But there's no build up to it, like in the movie, but as an audience member, you realize how often Axel is alone. Like there are multiple times where we see him go off by himself, and like we don't follow him or anything. He's just off doing things that we don't know about. But whenever he goes off on his own, is when we end up cutting to someone else who ends up getting attacked. And I'm just like, this so crazy to me that they thought this was gonna be a surprise, but also what a terrible way to go about revealing your killer. Like, oh, right here at his revelation that to us that he is the killer is when you're going to reveal that he was the son of one of the supervisors. Because then they build in like the police officer dude, the sheriff at the end of the movie is like when TJ and I think her name is Sarah, they come forward and they're like, it wasn't whoever the other guy was. They're like, it's Axel. And the sheriff's like, I know. His father was killed on Valentine's Day by Harry whatever that guy's name was. And so it's just like, what sense does that make that they would wait so long? Like if this sheriff knows the whole time, oh right, Axel's father was killed by this guy on Valentine's Day, why would they just let that slide? That should have been the first person you like looked into putting away for like a night. So, so then afterwards they could just be like, well, you see, we were holding you because we had suspicion and because no one else died. While that's not acceptable in a court of law, we'll just let you out for a bit, see what happens. And then if someone else dies, they'd be like, okay. I know that's not how it would actually go, but there are so many better ways and better things they could have done. I think the idea that the sheriff knew that it was Axel all of a sudden after because he got a call that the other guy had died, and because the other guy had died, he was like, it must be Axel. That's not a conclusion anyone jumps to. If you find out the other guy died, you don't immediately just jump into oh, it must be Axel because his father was killed by that guy on Valentine's Day. There's so many sharks being leaped that it makes zero sense. Like that is not the logical conclusion factor that anyone comes up to. So I watched that movie, and the whole time I was like, well, it's got to be Axel. And then closer to the end, they tried to do a thing where they made you think it was TJ, because TJ ran off to do a thing, and Axel showed back up, and then someone else died. And then it was like, oh, well, TJ's back, and there's no Axel. And it was just a back and forth. And you're just like, how is he doing all these things? Like, how did he have the time to do anything? The speed at which he would have needed to, like, go about and murder, it is not humanly possible. It's just, it really failed. And then it's even sadder because that remake it had was even worse. Like, it was somehow more awful. And I've never even seen that one. I just know that it's actually worse. Which is so sad because you would think, like, something like that could probably do pretty good. But alas, 'tis not the case. But yeah, enjoy that tirade about My Bloody Valentine as I tell you all Merry Christmas and whatnot. What else? What's in this list? Oh, that was the other thing I was going to talk about. I almost forgot. So obviously, if you're listening to the podcast, you are on this wonderful platform, owned by the Google Corporation, known as YouTube, right? But YouTube has been pissing me off with one thing, and that is its ads. Obviously, also copyright claims, but I haven't been getting as many, and I'm gonna knock on wood because, oh man, I really don't want any more of them. But there have been so many ads, and it's ridiculous. I don't understand how so many of them keep cropping up and just being pushed through in the fashion that they are. So as most people probably know, unless they've got like ad blockers on, which I don't because I don't use YouTube enough on a device that I'm like gonna put an ad blocker on. Like if I watch it on my computer a lot, I would put ad blocker on there, but I'm usually on like a tablet while cleaning or something, so I don't care as much. But more recently, I was watching a bunch of stuff on YouTube because like I was doing things like background stuff where I can't just put on a show and be able to hear it, and where I didn't really want to walk around with my phone, like in my pocket listening to a podcast. So I put on like YouTube, and the normal YouTube ad system thing to do is here's two ads. Either we've made them so short that you are unable to skip them, which for some reason always still irks me. Even when the ad is like 6 seconds long, my brain is like, I want to skip this. I want it to be like over and done with, right? But I can't, and I get that. But like when they're longer than that, most of the time you have the ability to skip them after 15 seconds. I mean, after 5 seconds. If they're 15 seconds or longer, you have the ability to skip. But there has been a weird increase in these ads that don't do that. Like they'll be longer than 15 seconds and you can't skip. And those have cropped up a little less often, but they're a weird thing to occur. And I don't think I'm the only one experiencing them, so I'm curious to know if other people have also seen those. But two, the other one that has caught me off guard every single time is that there will be two ads. The skip ad button will, like the skip because it's in like the first ad. I will hit the button and it'll go to my video for a split second before throwing me into two more ads. It has been happening often. Like I don't get like there's no time of me going back to the video. It's literally just, hey, you skipped these ads, now here's two more. And sometimes like I'll even let them play through. This was the reason discussing this here today in front of you guys was that I let two ads of pretty like I think they were both like a minute long. Like they were long ads, but I was doing something. So I let them play through. right? So both ads played through beginning to end, no skip, and it went to my video for a second before immediately throwing me into two more ads. And I was like, that is ridiculous. There is absolutely no reason for this to be occurring in this fashion in any way. Because that's crazy. What sense does that make? Oh, we're just going to throw two more ads at you after you've watched two ads or have possibly skipped two ads. That's awful. That makes no one want to use the platform. Like, come on. And I know I'm not the only person out there that's probably experienced this. So if you have also experienced this, I'd love to hear it down in the comments, like instances where this has occurred for you. But that's kind of crazy, you know? Like the idea that the system is building itself in this fashion where if you try to skip the ad, we are going to play more ads. Or if you let our ads play, we're going to play more ads. Because no matter what, we're going to play ads and get revenue out of you, the watcher. And I understand that a lot of these channels, like hopefully one day, even my own channel is built off of that same idea that I can play some ads and make a little money because it would help me to be able to continue to do the things that I enjoy doing. I enjoy doing this podcast. I enjoy playing the games. I enjoy all of it. But that's so dumb. That makes me not want to watch the platform. Like, do you know how many other platforms I could watch that don't give me ads right now? I don't get ads when I watch Netflix. I don't get ads when I watch Disney Plus. I don't get ads in the middle of the movie sometimes with Hulu, but honestly, Hulu's been getting worse about it. I don't get ads when I use the illegal sites. I don't get ads in the middle of the stuff I'm watching when I watch Showtime. I just get the ad right at the beginning. And that's always fine to me. I've always been fully fine with that when I don't have an ad-free streaming service because they normally throw it in the beginning, or if it's a television show, there's spots for ads in the show because it aired on television, and they'll throw ads in there, and that's always been fine with me. That has always been fine. But the YouTube ad system has always been so janky, and I don't understand why. And it's an issue that I've seen people try to bring up, and even myself have tried to bring up, but obviously trying to get in a hold of a YouTube person, not person, a worker for Google that specializes in handling that YouTube stuff is always it never pans out. It never does. And so I just wanted to bring it up here because I want to know if other people have also experienced that because I just think that's so wild that they can just do that they'll just play an ad and then a set of ads and then immediately play another set of ads whether you've skipped the ad or let the other ones play through just because they can. And it never makes sense to me. It never does. Because that is not how that should work at all. That sounds like there is a bug in the system that is allowing for just a load up of ads to just occur back to back that shouldn't be able to occur. Ow. I've heard a part of my thumb. It's not really my thumb. It's the joint in my hand that leads up to my thumb. I don't know what I did to it, but it hurts. And I will figure it out on my own eventually. But I just kind of poked it a little just now and it hurt. So that was a little sad. But it is what it is. Alright, what else is in here? What else is in here? Train crossings. Oh, I almost forgot about you. I wrote down train crossings because I realized one day, because I walk a lot, which is very surprising for a man built like me. But I walk a lot, and sometimes when I'm walking around campus and whatnot, there's trains because I'm in an area where trains are more actively used than where I'm from. And so there's a lot of trains, and it dawned on me one day when I was walking that the train crossing is really only designed to stop cars. It's not meant to. It's not designed to stop people from just busting on through there. And I think that's a little dangerous. But I also don't know how you could fix it. Like, this is one of those things where I could bring it up, but I don't know how the method of going about trying to change that for the better for anyone. Um, because it dawned on me that while like the barriers that come down, like they have a little extended out part in the back, probably for both counterbalance purposes, but also it's like for people, like it's for like if there's a crosswalk there, it's supposed to jut out into the crosswalk a bit, but it doesn't fully block it off, especially the spot where I'm at. And so I'll just watch people kind of check to see where the train is, like whether it's currently stopped and is going to come through, or it's coming through slow because it's stopped, or if it's already passed. And they'll just walk around it or bike over it or whatever they're doing. And I was like, yeah, I get it because the train is gone, but that's still so weirdly dangerous to like my brain. Because so much could occur, especially in the instances where like the train hasn't passed that spot yet and they're just going for it. And it's just so dangerous to my brain. But I was also like, even if you built out a full extended bar so that the crosswalk was blocked off, people could just go under it. They could go around it. Like there's so many ways for people that aren't in cars to just get around the idea of stopping at like a crosswalk area for a train crossing. You know? And like if you sit there and you think on it like really truthfully, unless there's a human being who will put you in jail for crossing that crosswalk when there's like a train crossing thing that's supposed to stop you, there is nothing that's keeping you from doing it. Like there's no camera there. There's not like there's like a red light camera, but for jaywalking at train crossings, it's just you have to be willing to stand back and wait for a train to pass by for like 5 minutes and then cross. Which I understand that for most of the people that walk, they're not really like I don't know about others, but I know for me personally, I'm not putting in the time. Like I'm not waiting. I don't have an excess amount of time. There it is. That's the sense I'm trying to say. There's not an excess amount of time that I have where I can be like, yeah, I can stop for this train, and wait to walk. Like no, it's not the case. It's not the truth. I'm usually like, if there's a certain time I don't leave by, my brain is like, well, you are going to be late. And that's just how it is. It's just like, yep, you are late now, and I just continue on my day. So like, I get it, but at the same time, I'm like, oh, people need to be safe, because I'm always worried about people. If you don't know this, my concern is always people. It's always everyone else around me before me, which I know is not good. Some might say, but to me, I think that's perfectly fine. I want to make sure everyone else is good and safe. Um, and it's just interesting. That's the way I'm gonna word the last half of that thing. If other people have solutions of how they think you could make a crosswalk like for trains safer, put it down in the comments. I would love to see what you're thinking. I would love to talk on it. Like literally any of it, because it's something that affects not just me or where I am, but like things like that all over the world. Like I'm sure it's different in other parts of the world, and that's probably something I could look into, like how are train crossings handled in other parts of the world outside of the United States in relation to pedestrians. That would make a very interesting research topic. So that might be something I look into. But until I do, I don't really have much other input for that. Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and bring this to a close early, which is 5 minutes early didn't ever feel like much when I was talking for an hour, but it feels like a lot when you talk for only 30 minutes. Uh, but I don't have too much to talk about today. I really just didn't want to miss out on getting this out to you guys as I was supposed to. I know. So again, I hope everyone had a very wonderful Christmas, and I will see all of you for the new year. I believe the next What a Thought podcast episode is coming out on the new year, and if you're wondering why, it's because by the time that podcast is supposed to come out, I still wouldn't have had access to my microphone. I didn't bring it with me. My focus wasn't really to do too much recording. I did all that before I left. It wasn't really to like do any form of excess amount of stuff involving this computer besides maybe some writing. So these podcast episodes are going to be the stand-ins. So what a book next week. It's just another what a thought. I know people really like listening to those books, but because of that, the next 2 weeks after next week will be both what a book videos rather than a what a book and then another what a thought. And then it'll go back to the alternating pattern between what a thought, what a book. That way there's more time to get, things to talk about and topics, and also have my microphone again. So thank you guys so much for listening to the What a Thought podcast. If you liked it, make sure to leave a like and comment down below. Tell me the things you're open to hear me talk about here on the channel. And if you feel so inclined, make sure to check out the Linktree link down in the description for all the other things that I do. There's another YouTube channel on there where you see that I post a video every single day, although I will admit that there's some plans in motion for some time early this new year, and I mean like early, to change that up. This is the first time I've got to mention it to you guys like here, but I'm gonna plan to make some changes over there, and so we're working at some new things. So you might see a gap soon. You might see a gap of time where there's no videos, uh, and that's gonna be kind of crazy to think about, but it's a necessary thing. Uh, you can also find my social medias, my Instagram, my Twitter, and my TikTok, as well as the Twitch where I stream. Uh, that's also going to go through some changes alongside the YouTube that I think are going to be really exciting. They're going to be fun. I'll probably talk about them some more next week, uh, possibly. But yeah, until then, I've been Matthew Allen. This has been the What a Thought podcast, episode 41. That's so crazy. And I'll see all of you next week.